Good afternoon, or I don't know, good evenings. I don't know where everybody is. I'm in New York. I'm a professor at CUNY, and my interest in Saudi Arabia started a long time ago, and it kind of intensified after the after MBS Mohammed bin Salman came to power, or came to be the crown prince, the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia. And I have always said that Mohammed bin Salman is a danger to himself, a danger to Saudi Arabia, a danger to the Middle East in general. He has taken dangerous decisions that really a political player wouldn't take. The invasion of Yemen, despite the justifiable necessity of getting in there because of the Iranian influence, I thought was a really reckless decision to plunge Saudi Arabia into that war. The situation with Qatar, I thought, was uncalled for, and it was probably an expression of personal vendetta with the Emiratis, or because of Al Jazeera and how Al Jazeera reported. I thought his decision to imprison the Prime Minister of Lebanon was out of control and completely reckless. He imprisoned him, and some reports indicated that he might have attacked him, like physically, or he was attacked physically while in custody. And of course, the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, I thought, was outrageous and really spoke volumes about this man's mindset and how dangerous he could be to himself, to the Saudi people, and to the region. We're really looking at someone who, and his latest decision to side with Russia is just a continuation of a man who's really not a political player, who doesn't understand the role of Saudi Arabia and how it has maintained itself, kept itself away from trouble. So I believe that we haven't heard the last of MBS, and I still believe that the United States and the Europeans underestimate what MBS is capable of doing. The closest I can think of in the Arab world is the alliance with Saddam Hussein, the Western alliance with Saddam Hussein, which we all know how it turned out to be. He was America's favorite Middle Eastern dictator, and he was supported by Saudi Arabia itself. And then Saddam is probably responsible for what has happened in the Middle East, and how Iran managed to take over the Middle East, of course, helped by American foreign policy makers who didn't understand the dynamics in the Middle East. Now, why does Mohammed bin Salman do all of this? I think it's really easy to understand. The man is in charge of a country, and he doesn't have an ideology. The ideology is power, is control. And if you lack an ideology, then you don't really have any support, any ideological support from your own people. You can't say that Mohammed bin Salman is an Islamist. He's definitely afraid of the Muslim Brotherhood, and he's no friend of the Salafis. I'm sure he's definitely not on that camp. You can't say Mohammed bin Salman is a liberal who's trying to modernize Saudi Arabia and bring human rights. That's definitely not him. So if he's not a liberal, and if he's not an extremist, so what is he? Actually, he's none of that. He's someone who wants to become the king of Saudi Arabia, and he understands that to do that, you will need force, because that is how the Saudi rulers have ruled. They don't have an ideology. There was a time when they had an ally with the most extreme in Saudi Arabia, and those are the Wahhabis. However, Mohammed bin Salman decided that that alliance had to stop and had to be ended, because it's not working for him. It's not working for the regime. So this is a man who is attacking everybody. He's attacking his own people, and we have seen with our own eyes and with evidence what he did to Jamal Khashoggi. We have seen how he still targeted Saudis abroad, like Al Jabiri. We know that he's targeting all kinds of Saudis in Saudi Arabia. He is jailing. He's jailing Muslim clerics. He is jailing women. He's jailing activists. He's jailing immigrant workers, immigrant activists. So you're looking at a man who's on the attack against everybody, and you can discern an ideology that this man has other than what I described as the desire and the need, I would say, to stay in power, but without committing to any ideology, because he doesn't have any ideology, and because being unpredictable is actually a tactic of remaining in power. Therefore, when you look at some of the things that Mohammed bin Salman has been doing internally, the only thing that you can discern as some type of like philosophy to rule Saudi Arabia is this unexplainable desire to modernize Saudi Arabia and make these and create these cities where you can live in the 21st century with technology and jobs and all of this. However, he's oblivious to the plight of the Saudis. So on the one hand, he wants to modernize Saudi Arabia. On the other hand, he doesn't want to modernize the political system, the social system. He doesn't want the Saudis to live in any type of freedom. So this is really, this is the ideology this man has, which is a promise to modernize Saudi Arabia and to make it a technology-based culture without any attention to human rights or modernizing the institutions, as if the country, in his mind, is just a place where you find a job, but you don't necessarily need freedom of expression. You don't need institutions that will bring Saudi Arabia and the Saudi people into modernity in terms of society and civil society. My guess is that he's using that push to modernize. He's using it as a way to get all of these Western companies to come and make a lot of money. And they are making a lot of money from his Neom city, and they're happy with the money that they're making. And there are doubts as to whether the city will even become a city one day. We're talking about billions of dollars being spent, huge contracts for US and European-based companies. And the Washington Post published an article about 15 US retired generals working in Saudi Arabia, and I guess making fat salaries. So Mohammed bin Salman has managed to wrest control of this country, to remove his cousins from the scene. He has given the West what they want, which is a huge contracts. And the American foreign policy seem to think, and Westerners in general, Western governments seem to think that somehow they can control Mohammed bin Salman. Yes, he can oppress his people. Yes, he can probably side with Putin here and there. Yet we can control him somehow. And I'm here to say that they are wrong, just as they were wrong about Saddam Hussein and how that conflict between Saddam Hussein and the West actually led to the Iranians infiltrating the Middle East and challenging the West in the Middle East today. Finally, I think Mohammed bin Salman I acknowledge that this is he's a serious challenge. On the one hand, you don't want to break him because he does control a very important country. He does control a lot of oil, but at the same time, you want to hold him responsible for his craziness inside Saudi Arabia and now outside Saudi Arabia, allying himself with Russia and allying himself with China. So I think the West is facing a serious challenge, and I don't claim that I have answers, but all I want to end by saying that every time these Western governments and my own government here in the US, every time they sided with Arab dictators, things turned out to be really bad for both the Middle East and for America. And an example of this, the jihadis in Afghanistan, whom the Saudis sent to Afghanistan to fight the Soviets, they turned out to be the biggest threat to the US. Another example is Saddam Hussein, whom everybody tolerated because he was fighting Iran. And what happened, we know the result. The result is that Iran is controlling 4 countries and threatening Israel and threatening the Arab world. And finally, I think the same thinking is still, the same mistake is being made with Mohammed bin Salman. I really think he is very dangerous and we haven't seen the last of him. And I'm afraid he is a true threat to Saudi Arabia, to the Arab world, to the Middle East, and to the world if he's not stopped. Thank you.